Our students are surrounded by visual images that make claims. And we want our students to be able to really think critically about the claims that those images are making, or the creators of the images are making some sort of claim. And we want our students to be able to, first of all, recognize what is the claim that is made in this image, or sometimes it's multiple claims. But, basically we want our students to think critically about what the creator of the image is trying to convey to them, and to be able to arrive at their own informed claims. And so today we're going to look at how we can help students learn that type of thinking. So we're going to look through a series of images, and as we engage with each image, we'll think about the claim that is forming in our minds as we view the image. So I'm going to share my screen, and we'll look at a series of images about a, a hot topic, animal testing. So should we use animals to test products or processes? And so at the top of this document, which you have a copy of, this is just a suggested sequence that I sometimes use with groups of students to help them use a series of images to arrive at a claim. But feel free to modify and adapt this in response to your students' needs. So what I typically do is choose a topic that I think will be very engaging for students, and then I search for images that portray a variety of perspectives on that topic. So for example, animal testing, I don't want to come up with, a set of images whose makers are all claiming that animal testing is always a bad thing. And I certainly don't want to come up with a series of images that would, whose makers have conveyed that animal testing is always a good thing. So we want to avoid pro-con altogether, but we definitely want to avoid a whole set that is pro and a whole set that is con. So we want to help our students really make their thinking more nuanced and complex. So choose the topic and then a variety of perspectives on the topic. And what I like to do is just display one image each day and have students write about the image, a claim that they think the image is making, what their own claim is about the issue, and of course a lot of talk. So I also like to model my own thinking. So I like to think aloud through that set of images to model how I'm making my claim a little more layered and complex and nuanced. And I use thought starters sometimes to do this. I might say, well, this image makes me think. And then when I look at another image, well, now I'm thinking. Or I might say, oh, well, this image adds another layer to this issue. So I need to add a new layer or another nuance to my thinking. So let's just play around with this. I'll just sort of walk through it the way I might walk through it with students. So here's image one. So I would probably think aloud through this. I might ask a student to read what it says. So I have these animals here, and they're saying we don't smoke, we don't drive, we don't wear makeup or perfume, we don't use paint, we don't drink alcohol, we don't drop bombs, we don't take drugs. Just because you do, why should we suffer? So at this point, I might have students just jot in their notebook, if the notebook might be a paper pencil or pen, or it might be a digital notebook, and I would have them write some thoughts about that. So what claim is being made in this image? It seems to me that just because humans do these things or use these things, why should animals have to suffer from being tested, I presume. So apparently the effects of smoke, cigarette smoke, are tested on animals. Certain drugs are tested on animals, bombs, paint, makeup, and perfume. Okay, so I might then say to my students, the claim here is that these things should not be tested on animals. The claim is also, another claim is that animals suffer when they are used in the testing of these things. And so I might say to my students, well, let me just play around with what do I think about this? So right now, my own claim is, let's say, animals have to suffer when human products are tested. That's my claim right now. So it seems like I'm sort of thinking right now that animal testing is not, it's not a good thing. Why should animals suffer? Just so that humans can have more things in their lives. Okay, so now the next day, or maybe in the same sitting, sometimes teachers like to just do a whole set of these in a day. It doesn't take very long. And so let's look at this next image. Who would you rather see live? And this is from researchsaves.org. So clearly this organization thinks research saves apparently her life, right? So it's rather, this is pretty clever, rat or her. Who would you rather see live, the rat or this really cute child? Okay, so I know that the claim the creator of the image is making is that her life is more important than the life of the rat. Well, that's what I'm taking from this. So now I'm thinking, so if I look at my claim from yesterday, animals shouldn't have to suffer. And I also want to relook at this image because drugs. So maybe a drug was tested on an animal that would ultimately save her life. And of course I would want, students, I might have my students do a turn and talk. So turn to your neighbor and talk about this image. And what are you thinking now? Has your thinking changed from yesterday? And so sometimes I want to use little stems for my thinking, like when or if. So I might say, a human's life can be saved through animal testing. Say when a human's life can be saved through animal testing. I think it is justified, right? And then I might have my students share your claim. How is your claim emerging, evolving? Because it can do both. It can emerge as I view a series of images, or I might have one at the beginning and it might change or evolve as I view. So, seems like yesterday I was thinking, well, why should animals suffer for humans? But now when I look at this image, the way question is posed, the rat or her, let's see, well, my thinking changed a little. And so my claim began to emerge or evolve, I'll say. Now, tomorrow, or even again in the same day, but maybe tomorrow, if I have just a little time each day for these, I might show image 3. So if we stop animal research, who will stop the real killers? So these seem like bacteria or viruses, germs of some sort. And apparently we're testing their effects, or apparently animal research can help us learn more about viruses and bacteria, diseases, germs. So, and these things can kill, right? So, viruses can kill, bacteria can kill. So if we stop that, animal research, who will stop these real killers? So, you know what? I think my claim is sort of still the same as this, as yesterday. If a human's life can be saved through animal testing, I think it is justified. Okay. So my claim really hasn't changed from yesterday, but I'm still working on, arriving at that final claim. Maybe it did change some since yesterday, but let's keep on, and let's say it's tomorrow and we're looking at image 4. End animal testing. Let's see, the creator of this image, look, this is pretty clever. They've used a rabbit, and they put some blush and eyeshadow and eyeliner, maybe some lipstick. So this really seems to be saying that, cosmetics are tested on animals, and why, when this is not something that might save our lives. And so seems that this person is not necessarily saying that animal testing is bad, although they do say end animal testing, so I'm not really quite sure. But I do know that what this image combined with these other images make me think, and I always want to look back at this one. So makeup or perfume. Seems like I'm thinking that things that affect human life and well-being are different. I seem to be making a distinction between these things like drugs, bombs, and makeup and perfume, or even paint, maybe. I'm not sure. My claim really is still evolving, but I'm at a different place. So I'm definitely, this puts me at a different place. So I think whether or not we use animal testing depends on what products we're testing, what we're testing. So I'm really getting a different claim. So now, and of course I'd have my students talking, I would have them sharing, I would really be talking, as I'm doing now, I would be talking about how my own thinking is really changing. So each text, we're still each time responding to a single text, and yet when it's part of a set, all of those work together to help refine and deepen my thinking. So let me now look at image 5, and this image, it's a graph, and there's a question here. Would you say that the potential suffering of animals used in the following types of situations is acceptable, which is green? The lighter green is somewhat acceptable, pink, somewhat unacceptable, red, unacceptable, and then lavender, unsure. So let me look at this image and see if it changes my thinking in any way. Potential suffering of animals. So if it's during government testing to ensure the safety an impact of medicine and medical devices. This seems like there's a lot of green. If you add these greens together, it seems like most people sort of accept the potential suffering of animals. Over 50% of people accept it or they think it's acceptable if it ensures the safety of medicine and medical devices. So that seems to have to do with human life or human well-being. So not paint or cosmetics. Artificial organs. Oh, yes. So you see almost 60% of people think that they would accept, they would think that some animal suffering is acceptable if it's for artificial organs for humans or animals. Well, see, I had not thought of that. I had not thought about the fact that animal testing can also benefit animals. So this next one is really helping me think more about animals also. So in conducting medical research that relates to human or animal diseases or disorders, oh, animals is coming back up too. So it seems like animal testing, I'm learning this, I'm changing my thinking. I'm learning that animal testing is not just to benefit humans, it's also to benefit animals. I wouldn't have known that without this image. And then here's another one, animal testing during the teaching or training of veterinarians. So I wasn't thinking about that. When I was thinking about the lipstick, I wasn't thinking that animal testing helps train veterinarians who, of course, are doctors who help animals. So I can say, let's see, what is my claim now after looking at this last image? Let's see, I'll type it. Now my claim is something like, when, I'll put my final claim up here, when the lives of humans and animals are at stake, animal testing is acceptable. It seems like that's where I am now. It's about life and life, whether it's human life, animal life. So that is an example of how we can use images or series of images to help students arrive at their own claim. Also to see what claim is here in this image. What is the creator of this image claiming? But to think, what am I thinking about that? And how can I become a better thinker about images, a better consumer of them in order to refine and deepen my own thinking. So we're going to ask you to develop a series of images. Try this out with your students using the process I used or your own process. You may come up with something that's so much better, a better and different way. But key things are the images need to represent multiple viewpoints, not just that go beyond pro and con. And then you also need to engage as a teacher and think aloud to model how your thinking becomes more layered and nuanced as a result of engaging with the set of images.